Good morning. Thank Professor Daryl Mazer, Atsushi Asai of Tohoku University, Sendai, Japan. And my topic will be on religious tolerance, bioethics, Hindus, Muslims and Christians living together in India. Now let me sing a song first. போற்றியன் வாழ் முதலாகிய பொருளே புலர்ந்தது மலர் கிளை கிளை கொண்டு ஏற்றின் திருமுக தமக்கருள் மலரும் எழில் நகை கொண்டு நின் திருவடி தொழுவோம் தேற்றிதழ் கமலங்கள் மலரும் தென்வயல் சூழ் திருப்பெருந்துறை உரை சிவபெருமானே ஏற்றுயர் கொடி உடையாய் எனை உடையாய் எம் பெருமான் என்னை எழுந்தருளாயே. Actually, I am trying to say from Bible, if you look into the Gabriel and if you look into Quran, Jibril, and if you look into Hinduism and the sing which I sang, the song, that is Hindus' religious God. The God says, I am there. In Hinduism, in Islam, in Christianity, in Sikhism, in Jainism and in Buddhism. I am there in all religions. That is what the God says. I am just the same. People think that it is different, but it is not different because I am the same. Idinjil, it says, He is here. In Quran also, Jibril, they say the God is here. And the Christians also they say in Gabriel, the God is here. See? Religions are different in different countries. But all types of religions are in many different countries. But the God is the same, whatever may be the religion, in any different country. Religion is the basis of human life, which is not just following a belief, but it is also the way of living, because the followers of particular religion follows a definite kind of livelihood. And with this moral duty of following certain rules, and the religion enters the boundary of law, whereby a person is compelled to follow or not to break the rules decided by the state. Now we are going to talk, and I am going to talk only about how the rules are being broken in India. About different religions, they keep breaking the rules. And even now it is happening, because I think most of you would have come across about Article 370 and about Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh, where it is supposed to be Muslims who are there in Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh. But the king was a Hindu king. So Jawaharlal Nehru didn't take it and make Jammu and Kashmir part of one of the states in India. He just kept it separate. And none of the Indians can go take any rules and regulations or any land. They cannot become a prime minister, a principal of a college, nothing. They cannot do anything there in Jammu and Kashmir. Only the Muslims who are there can be. So Article 370 was not at all framed in a different way, but now the present Prime Minister has changed it. And again, if you look into mutalaq, it is given 3 times. That is, they can divorce a woman, because men were, the Muslims were less compared to women who are Muslims were more. That is the reason why they used to divorce. And mutalaq means 3 times they will say we are divorcing, and they will marry another woman. But now it has been changed because of the present Prime Minister. But let us not go into that, but let us look into the laws, the constitution, the Indian constitution, and the personal laws which are there for Muslims, for the Christians, and for the Hindus, and for the Sikhs, and for the Jains, and for the Buddhists. It is all different, and it is all followed by different people. That is the same. They should not change these laws. It has not been changed that much. Only Article 370 has been changed. And Shimla agreement, which was made by Indira Gandhi, who was also the Prime Minister, that also has been changed by the present Prime Minister. And most of you would be knowing about the changes. But let us look into the way in which the personal laws which exist in all different religions in India. And first, the Muslims. Babur came into India and he was the king in India. The Muslims became so many in New Delhi and they were governing India. Then later on the Britishers came in and the Christians also came in, and they came into even the South India. We can say that Muslims are there even now. Only most of the Muslims were sent to Pakistan, sent to Bangladesh, but there are more Muslims in New Delhi, in Kashmir, in Hyderabad or in Andhra and in Kerala as well as in Tamil Nadu. There are more Muslims, and there are Sikhs in North India. There are not many Sikhs in South India, but there will be few people who are Sikhs and who are Jains and who are Buddhists, and those who are scheduled castes, scheduled tribes. Some of them have changed into Buddhists because that is easy for them to take. So they have become Buddhists. So that is the reason why I am saying that there are personal laws, but the personal laws are acceptable to the government. It has been accepted to the Constitution of India. It has been accepted to all types of people because the custom, the culture, and the way they all mix with one another, it is more or less the same. And that is the reason why we don't think that Muslims are different, Christians are different, and the Sikhs are different. We don't think like that. The Hindus, I am a Hindu, that's the reason why I sang a song. And the Hindus don't think that they are different and we are different, because custom, culture, everything is just the same. And so they think that Muslims are our friends and Christians are our friends, and that is the reason why most of the Hindus think that we are all together. But each one religion and the religionists will have different personal laws, and no one will interfere, no one will do away with the personal laws which they have. See, each one they have. Just like the men, just like women, we all have different types of thinking, different types of behaving, different types of behavior. Everything will be different. Men will be different, women will be different. Like that, Hindus will be different, Muslims will be different, but we are all friends. In matters of personal law, such as acceptable age of marriage for girls, female circumcision, polygamy, divorce, inheritance, everything will be different, but we all accept it together. And we also say that the state laws will apply because they go for the personal laws. In terms of religions of India, with significant population, only Islam has religious law in form of Sharia, which India allows as Muslim personal law. In India, there are many religions such as Hinduism, Christianity and Islam, like Buddhism, Jainism. And as I told you, God says, I am the same in different religions and different types of worship. There can be different types of worship, but I am the same God. That is what the God said. It is apparent from the analysis of court rulings that the Indian-state relationship. Now, I have to say about the Constitution of India, secularism. Secularism is different in different countries, but secularism in India is just the same, that we have to apply that all people of different religions are of the same type. So, secularism in India is different. The Indian Constitution considers secularism as a different type of convention. The court actively intervenes in the sphere of religion and contributes to a disenfranchisement of multiculturalism. It is clear to a disenfranchisement, cognitive collaboration between a liberal democratic view of secularism and Hindu nationalist ideology on the nature of religion, nation and citizenship. Secularism as acceptable and practiced in India is now politically challenged topic as it often divides political factions. Now I want you to listen to me when I am talking about secularism in India. We can say it does not mean separation of religion from the state. Instead, secularism in India means the state that is neutral to all religious groups. Religious law in personal domain, particularly for Muslims, Indians supersedes parliamentary laws in India. And currently in some situations, such as religious indoctrination, schools, the state particularly finances certain religious schools. And I would say that the government, the state government and the central government, they take serious action about the Hindu religion as well as the other religions. And religious persons and their ideology has strongly dominated in politics. Indians are in a country of religious diversity and religious tolerance which has been established in both law and custom and culture, which I had mentioned. The Supreme Court continued to be the most important superior institute where the questions are debated. Really, vast majority of Indians associate themselves with any religion, that is with similar custom and culture. Indian census has established that Hinduism contains 80.5% Hindus are there in the population, and the second largest religion is Islam, about 13.4% of the population in Pakistan and Bangladesh, and in India. The third largest religion is Christianity, 2.3% only. The fourth largest religion is Sikhism, about 1.9% only. One of the Sikhist professor was supposed to come here, but he hasn't come. He is supposed to be here from Rajiv Gandhi Institute, but I think he will come today or tomorrow. In India, there are results of assimilation and social integration of religions brought up by immigrants, travelers, invaders, conquerors. The native Indian religions are also Buddhism and Jainism. Communalism plays a key role in shaping religious history of India when the British divided India before granting independence. British were relevant with divide and rule policy as they saw large-scale violence sparked by underlying tensions between sections of majority of Hindus and minority of Muslim communities. India experienced Christianity, Sikhism, Buddhism and Jainism as people of lower caste. That's the reason why I said they all belong to the scheduled caste, lower caste. They become Buddhists. Dalits, they are called, referred as untouchables, but they become Buddhists. And they get embraced to Buddhism as they prefer. Actually, it was dissented by members of Constituent Assembly due to fussy multiculturalism favored by founding fathers of Indian Constitution. The preamble of Constitution of India proclaimed India as sovereign, socialist and secular democratic republic. Recently, secularism and multiculturalism has come under the challenge due to tensions in the relationship of Indian states and religions and religious expressions. Citizens of India were generally tolerant of each other's religions and retain a secular outlook. Although interreligious marriages are not widely practiced, even though the inter-community clashes are found little support in the social mainstream, and it is generally perceived even now that the causes of religious conflicts are considered as political rather than ideological in nature. The 7th schedule in the Indian Constitution places religious institutions, charities and trusts into so-called the concurrent list, which means that both the central government of India and various state governments in India can make their own laws about religious institutions, charities and trusts. If there is a conflict between central government enacted a law, a state government law, then the central government law also prevails just the same. And this principle of overlap rather than separation of religion and state in India was further recognized as a series of constitutional amendments starting with Article 220 in 1956 to the addition of the word secular to the preamble of the Indian Constitution, and from 1947, 1951, 56 to 1975. The overlap of religion and state through concurrent list structure has given various religions in India state support to religious schools and personal laws. This state intervention, while resonant with the dictates of each religion, are unequal and conflicting. That is the reason why I am saying that there will be what you call religious schools. The Muslims have Muslim girls and Muslim boys, they all have different schools, different colleges, and some of them are learned Arabic languages. That is something where they will all go to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and they can get a job there. All Muslim girls and Muslim boys, they will be given Arabic language. And some schools and some colleges are there. No one can say we should stop it. The government cannot do, the state government cannot do, and even the central government cannot do. That is the reason why I am saying that religious schools and personal laws are just the same and they continue. The state intervention, while resonant with the dictates of religion, are unequal and conflicting. For example, 1951, Religious and Charitable Endowment Indian law allows the state government to forcibly take over, own and operate Hindu temples, but they cannot own or operate the Muslim temples. They cannot do anything with Christian temples. And even in Kodaikanal, there is what you call La Salat Mary's temple is there, and processions will be the same, and public holidays will be the same. Nothing can be changed. Public holidays will be the same for Muslims, will be the same for Christians, will be same for Hindus. Now they cannot say you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Nothing can be done by the state government or by the central government. They cannot stop the Muslim processions or the Christian processions. And in Kodaikanal I have seen La Salat Mary is taken by processions. And like that there are public holidays also. And that is the reason why I want you to understand that Hindu temples are taken by the state governments and the central governments where they will govern it. But they won't do that with Muslim temples or with the Christian churches. They cannot do anything with Christian churches. And Indian law also allows Islamic religious schools to receive partial financial support from the state and the central government of India to often religious indoctrination. If the school agrees that the students has an option to opt out from religious indoctrination, if he or she so asks, and that the school will not discriminate any student based on religion, race or other grounds. Educational institutions wholly owned and operated by government may not impart religious indoctrination, but religious sects and endowments may open their own school, impart religious indoctrination, but religious sects and endowments may open their own school, impart religious indoctrination, and have a right to partial state financial assistance. And saying the same thing. Religious practices or performance of acts in pursuance of religious beliefs, processions, functions, educational institutions, many languages, ceremonies, dietary habits are all significantly influenced by all religions in India. So, if you think about the dietary habits, if you think about the ceremonies, if you think about the many languages and the functions and the educational institution, it will be different and it will be definitely be accepted by the state government, by the central government, and by the Hindus. They cannot change anything. Public holidays for different religious people have been given by the Constitution of India, as well as religious life, tolerance, which were extended to the highest levels of government. For very long years, public holidays, as I mentioned, for different religious people have been given by the Constitution, as well as processions. Eid-e-Milad, Nabi, Prophet Muhammad, Christmas, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Layavati, Gautam Buddha, Mahavira Jayanti, Mahavira, Kitri, Guru Nanak, Sikhism, Shivaratri, Shiva, Ramanavami, God Ram, and Janmashtami, Krishna, that is also the Hindu gods. So everything is there, and there are public holidays, processions, and that is the reason why I am mentioning this. The Constitution of India declared the nation to be secular republic, and it must uphold the rights of citizens to freely worship and propagate any religion or faith with activities subject to reasonable restrictions for the sake of morality, law and order. The Constitution of India also declared the right to freedom of religion as fundamental right. So it is there as part 3 as fundamental right, and these are there in the Indian Constitution. On 2 different occasions, attempts were made to amend the Constitution with a view to further strengthening and clarifying its provisions on secularism, but the bills moved for this purpose could not be enacted for technical reasons. That is one of the reasons why I am mentioning the constitutional amendment. The constitutional amendment of 45th Amendment 1978 proposing to define the expressions secular republic as a republic in which there is equal respect for all religions. And the next one, 80th Amendment, Constitution Bill of 1993, seeks to empower the Parliament to ban the parties and associations if they promote religious harmony and disqualify the members who indulge in such misconduct. Only if there is misconduct, there will be some rules and there will be some way of disqualifying the members. The Constitution of India contains its chapter on fundamental rights, several provisions that emphasize complete legal equality of its citizens irrespective of their religion and creed, and prohibit any kind of religion based on discrimination between them. Now I am mentioning number 5. The state shall not deny to any person equality before law or equal protection of law within the territory of India under Article 14 and Article 15. The state shall not discriminate any citizen on grounds only of religion, race, caste, see place of birth or any of them either in general or in the matter of access to or use of general and public places and conveniences. That is Article 15. Article 16. There shall be equality of opportunity of all citizens in the matter of employment, appointment under the state. No citizen shall on grounds only of religion be ineligible or discriminated against in respect of any employment or office under the state of Article 16. Now Article 17, traditional religious concept of untouchability finds abolished, find its practice strictly forbidden. And Article 23, if the state imposes compulsory services on citizens for public purposes, no discrimination shall be made in this regard on the ground of religion. And the next one will be the second law of 1989 and the Article 17. To meet the demands of Article 17 noted above, soon after the commencement of the Constitution, Parliament has enacted Untouchability Offences Act, which is later amended and renamed as Protection of Civil Rights Act of 1955. The Act prescribes penalties for the practice of untouchability in various specified forms. The second law enacted in this respect in the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes. Why I am mentioning Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes? Because most of the Scheduled Caste, they become Buddhists. That is the reason why I am mentioning that. And prevention of associates. And the Act is 1989. Now freedom of religion and individual rights, I would like to say, religious freedom as an individual right is guaranteed by the Constitution to all persons within the following parameters. Now I am mentioning Article 25, Article 27, Article 30, everything. Article 25, all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right freely to profess, practice and propagate their religion. That is Article 25(1). There shall be freedom as to payment of taxes for promotion of any particular religion, by virtue of which no person shall be compelled to pay any taxes, the proceeds of which are specifically appropriated in payment of expenses for promotion and maintenance of any particular religious denomination. That is Article 27. No religious instruction to be provided in schools wholly maintained by the state funding, and those attending any state recognized or state aided school cannot be required to take part in any religious instruction or services without their consent. or if they are minor of the guardians, that comes under Article 28. Article 28 is on education of all religious institutions. Article 29 mandates there should be no discrimination would be done on the ground of religion, race, caste, language or any of them. Article 29 and 30 deals with cultural and educational rights of Indian Constitution. Group rights. There are group rights also. Freedom of religion is guaranteed by the Constitution of India as a group right in the following ways. Article 26, 27, 29 and 30 I have mentioned. Now I am saying every religious denomination or any section thereof has the right to manage its religious affairs, establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes, and own, acquire, administer properties of all kinds. They can have, they can own, they can acquire, and they can administer their properties, or they can acquire properties which is very different kinds. Any section of the citizens having a distinct language, script or culture of its own shall have the right to conserve the same. Religious and linguistic minorities are free to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice, which shall not be discriminated by the state or by the central government in the matter of giving aid or confession in the event of acquisition. That is Article 30. Limits of religious freedom. Fundamental rights to religious freedom cannot be enjoyed in an absolutely unrestricted way. There are limitations within which these rights can be exercised, as also lawful restrictions which can be imposed by the state on such rights as detailed below. Article 25 I am mentioning again. Right to freedom of religion is in general subject to public order and the morality, health and other provisions of the Constitution. Article 25(2). Despite the right to religious freedom, state can pass laws providing for social freedom and reform, and also to regulate and restrict any secular activity, economic, financial and political, mostly in politics. And there are Muslims, there are Christians, and there will be in Rajya Sabha and in Lok Sabha, which is the parliament of the Union of India, the central government of India. There will be Christians, there will be Muslims, and they will be participating in different political parties, and they will win, and they will come to the Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, or what you call the parliament of the central government. So we cannot say that Muslims should not come and Christians should not come. They will come. They will be there as members of the parliament. And the relaxation of rights. Despite right to equality, state can provide special measures for women, for children, and for advancement of any socially and educationally backward class of citizens, as well as different religion. Despite rights to equality, a law may require that the incumbent of a religion and denominational office or member of such committee must be a person of the concerned religion. Article 16.5. Despite rights to equality, they state in terms of directive principles of state policy. So, concurrent list, I am mentioning everything, and also the directive principles of state policy. Everywhere there is always, all religions are allowed, all religionists are allowed. And in directive principles of state policy, the state shall promote with special care economic and educational interests of weaker sections of the people, including but not exclusively the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So why I am mentioning scheduled caste and scheduled tribes? Some of them are in Buddhism. That is the reason why I am mentioning scheduled caste. Otherwise I won't mention scheduled caste. Okay? And the fundamental duties, the chapter on fundamental duties are inserted into the Constitution by the 42nd Amendment Act, which I did not mention first. So I am mentioning now, because in 1976 there is the 42nd Amendment Act. Includes the following among the national obligations for all citizens: to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all people of India, transcending religious, linguistic and regional and sectional diversities, Article 51.A and E. And the second one, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture of Article 51A. Religious matters and the distribution of powers under Article 24 of the Constitution, read with Schedule 8, various religious matters noted below fall in the jurisdiction of the state, and both Parliament and state legislatures, and either of them can legislate on such matters. That is the reason why I mentioned public holidays. Now I am mentioning pilgrimage. I mentioned processions also, but now I am mentioning pilgrimage. Pilgrimage outside Indian unit list entry 20. Pilgrimage in India, state list entry 7. Burials and burial grounds. The Muslims will have, Christians will have, Sikhs will have, and Jainis will have, and Buddhists also will have, not only Hindus will have. See, burials and burial grounds are also given, cremations and cremational grounds are given in the state list for different religions. And family relations, succession, and all other personal law matters are in the concurrent list entry 5. And charities and charitable institutions and endowments, concurrent list, it comes under concurrent list entry 28. So there will be charities and charitable institutions for Muslims, for Christians, for Sikhs, for every religion. That is the reason why there is the concurrent list entry 28. Then there is what you call religious endowments and religious institutions in the concurrent list entry 28 again. There is no role for religion in election. That is the reason why I told you in Rajya Sabha, in Lok Sabha, in the Parliament, in the Central Union, the state governments and in central government, there will be Muslims, there will be Christians, and they will be in the Parliament, in the Rajya Sabha and in the Lok Sabha. There are so many people who will be there along with Hindus. We cannot say only Hindus will be there, because that is not the way that the Constitution of India is properly related and properly it is followed. No role for religion in election. Article 22.5, by all elections to central and state legislatures, the electoral rolls in every constituency shall be general and common. No person can either be excluded from or included in any such role only on the basis of his or her religions. Women also can stand for election. They can also become members of the Parliament, the state government, or in the central government. Representation of the People's Act 1957 incorporates provisions declaring use of religion during electioneering. Article 25, explanation 11, declaration of wearing and carrying kirpan, sword, which is fundamental rights of Sikhs. Sikhs will have kirpan, sword. They will be wearing the dress where they will be having the sword. Judicial interpretation. The Constitution uses but does not define expressions of religion and religious denomination, and therefore the courts have found it necessary to explain the meaning and connotation of these words. It is observed by the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court also will consider different religions and they will consider them as proper. And they will not say that they should not be this, they should not be this. The Sikhs cannot have kirpan, and they cannot make such directions. Even the Supreme Court says they will see that all religions are considered the same. And in the background of the provisions of the Constitution and the light shed by the judicial precedent, we may say that religion is a matter of faith. It is a matter of belief. It is a matter of doctrine. It concerns conscience, that is the spirit of man. It must be capable of expression in word and deed, such as worship or ritual. And the cases I am mentioning, SP Mittal versus Union of India, AIR, 1983 SCI, common faith, common organization and designation by a distinctive name. That is what the Supreme Court did. And the right to religious freedom, and I am mentioning three more cases where the Supreme Court considered all religions to be the same. Right to religious freedom is always there. Interpreting the constitutional provisions relating to freedom of religion, the Supreme Court observed the right of religion guaranteed under Article 25 and Article 26 is not an absolute or unfettered right. They are subject to reform on social welfare by appropriate legislation by the state court while interpreting Article 25(1), Article 26 strikes a careful balance between matters which are essential and integral part of and those which are not, and the need for the state to regulate or control in the interest of the community. The other case I am mentioning, A.S. Narayana Dishitayalu versus State of Andhra Pradesh 1996 and 9 SEC 548 Article 2530 embodied the principles of religious tolerance that has been characteristic feature of Indian civilization from the state of history. They serve to emphasize the secular nature of Indian democracy, which the founding fathers considered that it should be the basis of the constitution. Freedom of conscience connotes the person's right to entertain beliefs and doctrines concerning matters which are regarded by him to be conducive to his spiritual well-being. To profess a religion means the right to declare freely and openly one's faith. Another case I am mentioning, Panjib Rao versus Meshram, AAR 1965, SEI 1179. Religious practices and performance of acts in pursuance of religious beliefs are as much a part of religion as faith or belief of particular doctrines. Again, the last case I am mentioning, Ratilal Panachand Gandhi versus State of Bombay, AAR 14 SC 388. So, the court also, the Supreme Court, the State Court, they also decided that all religions should be the same and they should not be sent away, they should not be devised in any way. See, that is the reason why we say in India there is all religions are considered to be the same and they are very good in different religions. They are. But now there are some changes which are going on, but we don't know whether it is going to happen where Muslims will be sent away or the Christians will be sent away, because the present Prime Minister and the BJP party, political party, they are doing something very different in Jammu, Kashmir, and there are different sections which are happening in the court, but nothing has happened as of now. That is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Just let me ask one question before we have a general discussion. I believe that there's still some differences in family law depending on which religion you belong to. Could you explain that?
Yeah, family law.
And what sort of cases does that involve? So if I'm a Muslim or a Hindu, the law may be slightly different. Well, please explain, because that's different to Japan.
That is the reason why I was telling you about mutalak. The meaning of mutalak means divorcing Muslim women, because I told you that women were more when compared to men. Muslim men were less in number, so they can always divorce someone and marry another one, because that is the way that they can have some family relationship with the other Muslim woman. But now the BJP, the present Prime Minister's political party, they have brought about this in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, that they should not do with this mutalak, they should not divorce the Muslim women. That is the way that the family law and the family relationship is made compulsory, and it should be similar. They should not divorce women. And some of the women like it, some of the women don't like it. Always. Yes? Yeah.
Yo, first, yes, please.
I want to add on something to what ma'am said. Constitution of India, it promotes secularism. So basically, since our country has a lot of religion, we promote secularism. But the question that you put forward regarding the religions, like which law governs which religion, we have personal laws that govern each religion. Like we have the Muslim law, we have the Hindu succession act, everything. So that is how, so if a Hindu is going to get married, or if Hindu wants to get a succession, he would do it in the way the Hindu law prescribes the person to do. So that is how it works in India.
See, I've already finished
Thank you.
personal laws because you came.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but then since the question was regarding that, I thought I'll add on to what you told.
Thank you. Yeah. Please,
Okay.
Krishna.
Ma'am, in India, there is just only divorce by the Muslim women or in a Hindus.
In Hindus also there are divorces which are happening. I should say that my daughter has been divorced by her husband because we are Hindus. That will happen very quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
Just say it's 3 times? No.
Not 3 times. Not mutalak. Only once. They will divorce. In Hinduism, only once they will go to the court and they will say, she is a dentist, she is not taking care of me, she is not cooking for me, she is going and she is also doing her dentistry. So my daughter was divorced by her husband. So in Hinduism it happens.
We have the daughter divorced the husband instead of husband divorcing her. I mean, the lady has any voices that say divorce the man.
Yes, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
there.
in Hinduism, they go to the court and do it only once. But Muslims, mutalak, 3 times they have to go to the court and talk.
Yeah.
See, only then they can divorce.
And there is a time period. Once you say mutalaq, you have to wait for 3 months to say the next mutalaq. So this time period is given so in that framework, if the husband and wife want to get back together, they can live their life.
Oh, I thought they said
Okay?
three
So
times.
it's not always,
So
it's not
Hinduism,
nice together.
it is quick.
Yeah.
The Muslim
Islam,
says that.
it will take 3 times.
I
What
thought
may
it's-
be the most reason about that Muslim women's there for divorce?
Yeah, that's what I told you. Mutalak.
Yeah,
They go to the court.
what may be the main causes there for divorce? Most of the people who are divorced there.
Mostly.
What may be the
Mostly. But now the Prime Minister says,
against
So this time is being so that-
usually they'll do it very quickly, 3 times in the court. But now the Prime Minister says they should not do. Some of the Muslim women like it, some of the Muslim women don't like it. They want mutalak, some of them don't want mutalak. So you cannot say who will want what. It's
I'm wondering, generally speaking, and maybe what you're talking about with divorce provides a specific example. What happens in intercultural situations? What happens, for example, if a Hindu man were to marry a Muslim woman, or you have some kind of interchange between the two cultures? What kind of law do they follow in that kind of situation?
so actually there is a lot of changes in culture, Hinduism as well as Christianity as well as in Hinduism. There are a lot of changes in culture.
But
But it is more or less
what
same.
happens when people from two different, cultures or two different religions, they get married or they're interacting? It seems from your presentation, if I understand it, it seems that there's one law for the Muslims, one law for the Hindu. But what happens in cases where there's, like an intercultural marriage? My father and my mother was Protestant, my father was Catholic, and even in America we have conflict between those, when people from different religions marry each other.
See, but the personal laws are there, as she also was mentioning.
Can I answer to your question? So basically, when a Muslim man and Hindu woman, for example, when they marry, so first they look upon the way they are getting married. Are they getting married in the way of Hinduism or are they getting married in the way of Muslims? So they have different way of marriages. So in Hindu, they say you have to take around 7 rounds around the fire, you have to tie a thali. It differs in the regions. And Muslims, it's a very different way. So when you go to the court for divorce, if you have married in the way of a Muslim, you do it in the way of Muslim laws. Your divorce would be in Muslim laws. And when you do it in the way of Hinduism, it will be in the Hindu law. So that is how it works.
That's interesting.
Some of the Hindus, they marry Muslims.
And they have to change
And
themselves.
and some of the Hindus, they marry
Get
Christians.
converted into Muslims later. Like after 4 years of marriage, the wife gets converted into a Muslim. So there are a lot of conflict of laws there. That is there. That exists in India.
Srishtika, you can also say the Hindus are marrying Christians also, no?
Yeah, they do marry Christians.
And Sikhs or Jains,
Yes.
they can marry.
It's clear?
Yes, Raphael?
Yes, I want to say something. to ask you something about school.
Schools.
You say no religion instruction can be provided in school. That's right. Well, in Italy we have an hour, in public school we have an hour weekly of teaching of Catholic religion. It is not an obligation, but families who refuse it must make a statement at the beginning of the year. And teachers are chosen by the church, not by the state. So there is a movement that claims to have, instead of this, a teaching of anthropology of religion, or of philosophy of religions, from teachers provided by the state. But it is opposed by the church and by part of the public opinion. It is opposed also by the so-called liberal public opinion that claims that religion must not be a subject to be taught in public school. So we in Italy have a huge amount of religion ignorance. Kids, young people cannot tell the difference between Noah and Moses because they never learned this. So what do you think about this? In my opinion, religion must be taught in school as a cultural tool, as a cultural item. What do you think about this?
Actually, in fundamental rights, part 3 of the Constitution, women and children, they are given in different schools. Actually, I was in a Christian school, and we'll have to go to the church in the morning before we go to classes, and we'll have to read 1 or 2 from the Bible, and we'll have to sing songs. And only then, when I was 2 years old, when I was 15 years old, I was in that Christian school, and nothing can be made different. Because all of them, who are Hindus, who are Christians, who are Muslims, they will all have to go to the church and sing the song, and then they will go to the classes. So nothing can be changed, because it is a Christian school. So Muslim school also, they will sing songs. That is different. Because women and children under the article of fundamental rights, article 29 or 19, they are asked to join any particular school. Because women and children, they are given preference. They can join any particular school.
Is there the possibility of studying the Quran, the Gospel, the Bhagavad Gita as a cultural?
Yeah, that will be there already.
Yeah.
Even in Christian school, no, they will make us sing Hindu songs when you are in the class.
Yeah.
But in the morning, but 8 o'clock, you'll have to be in the church and you'll have to sing songs from the Bible. And only then you go to the classes. And in the classes, maybe you will be given some Hindu songs, religious songs,
Right.
as you mentioned.
Any questions from over here?
Mark,
Yes, Danny, please. Yep.
the question of different forms of marriage exists also in Israel, and well, we have very little interreligious marriage, but we have conflict within the intra-religious conflict, while secular Jews, for example, no longer in general wish to marry according to the religious law, because if they do, they might be forced to divorce according to the religious law, which is hostile to women, to say the least. The very fact that if one is Jewish, one has to marry or divorce according to religious law is already considered by many as a breach of civil rights. Nowadays, we do not have yet an ability to have civil marriage. So most people with such sentiments either go abroad for civil marriage or just make all kinds of other arrangements, like make it into a ceremony of their own, maybe even mimic the religious one or change the religious one, but they don't want to go into the religious code while it is being forced upon and empowered by the state. This was one remark. And the other remark is that actually I'll stop here.
Thank you.
But some of the Hindus can become Muslims. They convert themselves and they marry Muslims. I have seen so many.
Only if they get converted, they can marry.
Yeah, they get converted. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that happens.
Does that happen the other way around? Because I've heard it's very difficult if you're, if you convert to Islam, you can't change to another religion after you've become Islam. So
Yes.
does it happen the other way too? Where
Yeah.
Islamic
They
people
convert themselves to another religion and they follow what the wife does. The husband also does the same thing, Muslim religion, and they worship and they do everything, Quran, reading Quran, everything they do the same thing. And the children also, they do the same thing. I've seen many. They get converted to Muslims. Hindus get converted to Muslims. Hindus will get converted to Christians. And they become Christians and they go to the church. My brother is in Australia, but he married a Christian and he is also a Christian. And all the children's names are Christians. Andrew, Rebecca, Kate, Zoe. This is the name. He has become a Christian, my brother, in Australia. So such things happen in India and abroad also. Hindus, they become Muslims, they become Christians. I would like to say.
Can Muslim become Hindu?
Who?
Muslims can become Hindus,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Muslims will not become Hindu.
Yeah.
but can they? If they want to, can they?
They can. As per law, they can.
Yeah, but
But
most
they
of them,
don't.
Yeah, most of them they don't. As per law, they can.
Yeah.
As per what happens in the society and secularism, they can do, but they don't. The Muslims will not become Hindus, and the Christians will not become Hindus.
Because their code of conduct is more strict when compared to Hindus.
But that's a religious issue, it's not a legal issue.
Yeah.
We have a question for you, Aruna, from Manhão in Barcelona. He asked about how religious tolerance works or acts in the Indian public debate on the disposal of dead bodies in issues like brain death or the death penalty or funeral arrangements. How does this work?
No, I mentioned that in funeral arrangement also, they follow the same thing. Saying that they don't change at all.
And other views on capital punishment. For example, if the Hindu belief is the sanctity of life, it should be against the death penalty. But is that actually we find some trends towards support for capital punishment?
No, even the capital punishment, it will not be just the same, but different religions.
And as a Hindu, do you believe in capital punishment?
We cannot say that the Hindus are not put in capital punishment.
Are not?
No,
Should not believe?
no.
Okay. Good.
There aren't many laws which are immediately implemented. It is not implemented.
Right. Okay, any other comments? I think interesting start to the day. Today is Sunday morning. Thank you very much. Thank you, Aruna.
Thank you.